So let's have a look at choice of cause. Okay, here's, courtesy of Steve Photography, a camper lighting a fire. Now you can imagine what happened. The lighting of the fire led to the conflagration that destroyed the forest. That's what happened. So the campers lighting the fire caused the forest to burn down. Okay, straightforward. And there's a, whoops, so I'm giving it away there. The trouble with that is that although there's a chain of stepwise influence that leads back from the fire, the forest burning down, to the campers lighting the fire, there's also a chain of stepwise influence that leads from the fire burning down to the birth of the camper, isn't there? It's true, isn't it, that had the camper not been born, the forest would not have burnt down, or at least there would have been an alteration of the forests burning down. It would have been a different type of burning down, wouldn't it? And so there's a chain of stepwise influence from the forest fire to the camper's birth. Doesn't that mean that the camper's birth was the cause of the forest burning down? Huh. No, of course it wasn't. I mean, none of us would say that, would we? Or would we? But that's a bomb. And the story behind this, if I can get it right, is Enemy, who hasn't got another name, is just called Enemy, lights a bomb and puts it outside Lucy's door. I can't remember whether it is Lucy, maybe it's somebody else, but it doesn't really matter. Lucy's door. Brian comes along, sees the bomb about to go off, and pinches out the fuse, and so Lucy survives. Okay, no problem so far. So there's a chain of stepwise influence from Billy's pinching out the fuse to Susie's survival. Thought it was someone else. Susie's survival. Accept that? Okay, had Billy not pulled out the pinched out the fuse, Lucy would not have survived. But it's also true that by the transitivity of stepwise influence, had Enemy not placed the bomb, Billy would not have pinched out the fuse, and Susie would not have survived. So it's the placing of the bomb that caused the survival of Lucy. Ah! No, that is really bad. We don't want that at all. There's something badly wrong with this account of causation. Do you see where I'm going? So the objections here are that there's too many causes. In other words, the camper's birth as well as the camper lighting the fire. And it makes Enemy's placing the bomb a cause of Susie's survival. And again, we think, no, that will not do. This can't be the right theory of causation. Right. Okay, causation and explanation. I said right at the beginning of these lectures that when we explain things, we tend to appeal to causal chains. So why did so-and-so get cancer, lung cancer? Answer, because he smoked. Well, hang on a second, so-and-so got lung cancer and she doesn't smoke. Okay, there must be more to it than smoking. But you see that when we explain something, we appeal to some event in the causal history of whatever it is that we're trying to explain. And what Lewis says is that the causation, and it's not just Lewis, incidentally, I mean the philosopher that's important for, or hugely important for making the distinction between causation and explanation is actually a philosopher called Donald Davidson. And it is a very important explanation because causation is, we think, a relation that exists in the world quite independently of us. If we weren't here, causation would still exist. So the world would go on, it's just that we wouldn't be here to look at it. If we weren't here, And let's take away animals as well for anyone who thinks that animals go in for explanation. There wouldn't be any explanation, would there? There'd be causation, but nobody would be making use of their observations of causation in explanation of anything. So explanation is very much an epistemological relation. It's a relation that makes things intelligible to us. Causation is a metaphysical relation. It's a relation between events quite independently of us. Okay, so there might be causation but no explanation. But it looks as if there couldn't be explanation and no causation, because explanation depends upon identifying a causal chain or some event in the causal history of the event that you're trying to explain. Do you see the difference between causation and explanation? Absolutely vital difference. And Lewis would say, we look at the camper's birth, and of course it is an event in the causal history of the forest fire. When we look at and again, if I had a flip chart, I would draw lots of little circles in a tree-like shape, with the one at the top being a forest fire, and somewhere down here at the bottom there would be the birth of the camper, and somewhere even further down would be the Big Bang. And this is the causal history, all these events combined to produce the forest fire. Now, all those are events in the causal history, but we'd be daft to pick out the camper's birth in explanation of the forest fire.